Good evening, Louisiana Boys State.
Good evening, Louisiana Girls State.
Welcome to the 2015 Joint Convocation of Louisiana Boys and Girls State.
To advance the colors, we will have Louisiana Girls State citizen Mackenzie Jones
And Louisiana Boys State citizen Lerone Owens. Please stand.
Salute. Ready, two.
To now lead us in an invocation, we will have Miss Marcia Cook, historian of the Louisiana American Legion Auxiliary.
Shall we bow our heads? Dear Lord, we thank you for those present here today and for the freedom we have to be able to gather as we are doing. Thank you for the members serving our veterans. We thank you and ask that you be with our military men and women serving in the military on foreign soil and to protect our freedoms and the freedoms of others. Be with their families and give them strength as they wait at home for their loved ones to return. Help there be peace soon. May all that we do glorify your name. Amen.
The Pledge of Allegiance will be given by Boys State citizen and newly elected Louisiana Boys State Governor, Mr. Keith Billiot. Please join me in the pledge. Hand salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The Star Spangled Banner will now be sung by Louisiana Girls State citizen Taylor Pierre.
At this time, you may join in if you wish. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleam, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallant victory, and the rockets regular, the bombs bursting and then gave proofs through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you very much. We have a few visiting guests that we would like to recognize today. you would please stand when your name is called. Representing District 22 from the Louisiana House of Representatives, we have Representative Terry Brown.
Also joining us tonight, we have Judge Honorable Desiree Dias. And Tax Assessor Ms. Dolly Mahoney.
At this time, I would like to call on the chairman of the Louisiana Boys State Commission to introduce our American Legion officials, Mr. Philip Lejeune.
Thanks, Zach. Thank you for the pronunciation. I appreciate that. How y'all doing, boys? Say the girls say this. What awesome week, wasn't it? First of all, I'm here to introduce our Legion guests, but I also would like to sincerely thank the staff and the counselors here at American Legion, Louisiana Boys State for the outstanding job they have done this past week in support of the Boys State program. Also, we could not get it done without the Legionnaires and Sons of the Legion members who are here to support the program this week. We thank them also, we really do. Also, Ms. Maggie and your girl staters, we appreciate you being here along with us and to continue on the program of this great Legion, American Legion. Thank you. Let's see who's over here. Okay, first of all, our newly elected department commander for the great state of Louisiana, Mr. Les Cromwell. Mr. Camille Lejeune, not to be confused with Lejeune. NAC man from Mr. Erod Benoit from Racing Post 349. Anybody else? Mr. W. Duplantis from Chauvin Post 380. And Mr. Danny MacArthur, Fast Detachment Commander for the Sons of the American Legion. Mr. Joe Malone, Post 99. Anyone from Legion I'm missing here? Anyway, I want to thank y'all very much for your participation. And as you are, I am a freshman over here too. This is my first year as a chairman. And really was a eye-awakening experience. I heard everything about it. This week I've seen it for myself. And thank you all for participating, really do. And before I leave, I want you always to know that you can always say that you attended the Louisiana State Boys Sport program. Thank you.
I'll now call upon Ms. Essie DeQueer, Associate Director of Louisiana Girls State, to introduce the auxiliary.
First of all, I'd like to introduce our newly elected department president, Ms. Ethel Terrio. Our department historian, Ms. Marcia Cook. Our department secretary, Ms. Cheryl Bossemeyer. Our past department presidents that are with us, Ms. Lorinda Lawrence, Ms. Maggie Watts, Ms. Monique Baptiste, and myself. At this time, I would like to ask all of the auxiliary ladies to please rise. Thank you, ladies, for taking your time out this week, for being with us and making sure that the program goes smooth. Thank you.
We'll now have Mr. Camille Lejeune Jr., NEC of the Sons of American Legion, to introduce the Sons of the Legion.
Thank you. Good evening, boys states and girls state. Real quick, all male descendants of a veteran who has died in service or is still living while fighting in the wars are eligible to join our organization. Since Mr. Field has already introduced us, the only one that he has missed was Byron Robichaux, and I think the most of you know him. Byron is a past national commander. At this time, I would also like to recognize Joe Malone, who is a Sons from Natchitoches 10, William Hogan, who is also a Sons from Natchitoches 10, and I'd also like all those that belong to the Sons of the American Legion to please stand at this time. Thank you. I would also like Ms. Donna Mason to please stand. Ms. Donna and her husband John are from Natchitoches 10, and 5 years ago I asked Ms. Donna and John if we could use the Natchitoches Squadron to house our boy staters at their particular location. They have agreed. So each year, the dues for the Sons in Natchitoches is only what we have to collect for state and national, which is $6. Thank you, Ms. Donna. And lastly, you 62 young men that have applied for the Samson Scholarship, you will be receiving a personal letter from me to join our organization. It is strictly up to you if you wish to join, but anyway, it'll give you full details as to what you need to do. Thank y'all so much. Enjoyed having y'all all for this week.
Good evening, Maggie Watts with the Executive Director for Louisiana Girls State, and it's my pleasure this evening to introduce one of our guest speakers. General Hunt Downer is a resident of Houma and a partner in the law firm of Waits and Downer. He practices at state courts in Louisiana and Colorado, the U.S. Supreme Court, Court of Appeals, 5th and 11th Circuits, District Courts, and Eastern, Western, and Middle Districts of Louisiana, and the U.S. Court of Military Appeals. He received his BS degree from Nichols State University and a Juris Doctorate from Loyola School of Law. He is a graduate of the U.S. Army War College and was enrolled in a master's program at Louisiana State University until activation for Desert Storm, Desert Shield campaign in Iraq. General Downer joined the military as an enlisted soldier in the Army Reserves and became a second lieutenant with the Corps of Engineers. After a 6-year break, he joined the Louisiana National Guard as a first lieutenant with the Judge Advocate General's Corps. In 2010, he retired with over 35 years of combined military service and the recipient of more than 35 federal and state military awards. General Downer served 28 years in the Louisiana House of Representatives. He served as Speaker Pro Tem and Speaker of the House. During his reign in the House, he was well known for his leadership, supporting military, veterans, law enforcement, firemen, homeland security, and emergency preparedness issues. He served as Secretary of Veteran Affairs under Governor Kathleen Blanco and was detailed as the Legislative Affairs Liaison for the Governor's legislative agenda. He also was her representative on the statewide Interoperability Executive Committee and liaison for her with the Louisiana's Recovery Authority for the rebuilding of Louisiana after Hurricanes Katrina and Rita. General Downer was a Boys State citizen in 1963 and returned as a counselor the following year. Let's give a big Boys and Girls State welcome to Major General Hunt Downer.
Sit down, sit down, sit down. Y'all don't get too excited. My mother still thinks I'm playing a piano on Bourbon Street in one of those joints. You know, when Maggie asked me to come, I had some other arrangements and I moved them around because it was 51 years ago I sat in a room much like this in Baton Rouge when it was at the LSU campus. And all I can say is we've come a long way. And thanks to many of the individuals here, and I'm going to touch on some of that in a minute, when I walked in, Alexander was showing me everything that's electronic. Y'all are on Facebook, Twitter. Is it Twitter? I don't know what it is. All of those fancy things, Instagram, what else? Facebook, YouTube, and what? Yit Yat. I can tell you, I'd get in trouble repeating some of the names. Because I was so excited, I brought what we had, black and white printed books that we got after the fact. There were no cameras, no telephones, no anything. And when you look at it, I wanted to just challenge you with these things. Think of, I have an old saying, you have to know where you've been to know where you are, to figure out where you're going. Now, let me take my case. When I looked at these, I knew where I'd been, much like you, sitting in an auditorium listening to some bored person, or being bored listening to somebody try and tell us all about life. Well, let me share something with you. I found my books, had to dust them off, unstick the pages, the ink wasn't too good, and try to look at the faces of the 500 people in here, Boy State and Girl State. What's interesting is that many of the people, just like you, get to know them. You're going to run across them. No matter how big this world is, it's really small and we're all connected. We may not be connected today, but you are. Today started the connection. That's where you've been. Where you are is today. Where you're going is tomorrow. But where you're going is in the future, 50 years. Some of the folks in here, and I'm going to share them with Representative Brown, legislators who I end up serving in the legislature from Terrebonne and Lafourche parishes. One of the guys who helped me a lot was a legislator from Monroe, Washita Parish. He and I were in the same city. Never thought when we were sitting there, we'd even be in government. We didn't even think we'd get out of college. But you see, connections. Boy State, Girl State, Girl State, Boy State is what it is all about. Maybe that's what kindled and lit the fire in my interest in government. Although each of you are leaders in your own right by being here, but it leads to the next step. And I was listening. You have a governor. Girl State, when is your election? You already had it? Where's the Girl State governor? Where, governor? Come on. Come on, governor. Come on down here. Governor, you ought to be sitting up here with the boys. This is equal rights. God, God. And since I've stirred the pot, where's the daughters of the American Legion? Is junior auxiliary? We do have an equivalent? All right. I'm just trying to help you out, Governor. I want you to do all right. You're here at the dance. Y'all didn't have the dance yet, did you? Last night? Okay. Way to go, Governor. Thank you. I'll tell you what. And we're laughing. I just showed him. The 2 years that I was there, the Speaker of the House from Boy State, the year I was a member, and the female who was the governor for Girl State the year I was a counselor, end up married, and he ended up serving in the legislature with me. Small world. So Governor. Let's hear it for him. In line in your costs. But for that, we have the president of the university, so I know you'll be able to hit him up. And of course, you have Representative Brown sitting there smiling because he's going to talk to the governor later. Probably the only time I get to talk to the governor for a while. I guess that's politically incorrect. But what the heck? What they're going to do to me hadn't been done so far. You see, you're right. As we sit here today, and as you see, we become so sensitive. We fail to recognize we are all individuals. We all started somewhere, and we didn't get where we are by being perfect. We've made some mistakes along the way. We have tripped along the way. But you too can achieve whatever you set your mind on. Today, this week's experience with Boys State, with Girls State, is just one more step on the road of life. One more step in finding out who you are and what you want to do, what you want to be. I was a private in the United States Army. Rest assured, I never thought I would make it to general. But there were people along the way who touched my life, who encouraged me, or who mentored me, who saw maybe something I didn't see, maybe a lack of confidence in myself, and encouraged me, take that next step, take that next step. Remember, if you don't try, you can never be told no. If you don't try, you'll never know if you could. They say in defeat, you create humility, and with humility, you build character. The secret is to not just overbuild your character. You got to try. You got to step out. Just like you are and you have done when you go back, when you had your elections. You now understand the process. I'll share with Representative Brown. In my own legislative district, the year before I was the term before I was elected, the representative won by 1 vote. And you know where the other representatives' votes were? They were his family. They were out hunting, and they failed to absentee vote. He lost an election by 1 vote from his own family, who had supported him, who had given him money, and paid for the campaign. You see, men and women have given their life to give us the precious right to gather here today, tonight, to speak freely, to mingle. I did not have to submit a speech to a censor and have it cut out and edited. You have that right because of men and women who stood for the right to give it to you, the men and women in uniform. Let me just ask, how many in this audience have a parent or parents or relative of the family who either are serving or have served in the military? Look at the show of hands. Go home. When you get home, I'm going to ask you one thing. Reach out to them, thank them for their service, hug them, kiss them if you can, and just tell them you love them and you appreciate what they did, because our nation is under attack. It's under attack from outside, and it's under attack from within. You see, we stood here today, 31 words. 31 words for the Pledge of Allegiance. I don't know if you realize that. Every one of us said it, but did we say it with meaning or because we know it by rote memory? You see, in those 31 words, this is what it's all about. This is what our government's about. This is what you're doing here. The 31 words start off with I. Not me, not you, not him, not her, but I. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Now think of that, to the United States of America. There are those who would seek to divide us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands. The republic is that form of government, our democracy, which y'all are experiencing and which you're building on. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation. You see, we're back to one nation. United States as one nation. The next are the key words, one nation under God. You see, that recognizes that no matter how important we are, no matter whether I was a general, no matter whether or not he's a governor, she's a governor, no matter that he's the president of the university and he's the legislator who can make the laws, there's a supreme being, there's a higher authority. And we must never forget that. It's not all about us. It's not about you individually. One nation under God, indivisible. Can't divide it. Indivisible. But it's our choice not to divide it. We must live by that pledge we take. Indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You see, in 31 words, we move from I to all in that pledge. And I challenge you, the next time you have the opportunity to say the pledge, just slow it down a bit and think about what it means to you in your own interpretation of those 31 words. For that is where you've been, where you are now. But your thoughts about those 31 words is where we're going. And note I said, where we are going. Because that's what boys state, girls state, and boys state are all about. Taking the future of our country, the future of our generation, within you are doctors and lawyers, policemen, law enforcement, emergency responders, Homeland Security, moms, dads, grandmas and grandpas, university presidents, legislators, office holders, judges, assessors. Why? Because it's in you. It's your choice. Take advantage of it. It's a great country. I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to come back after 50 years and still see the spirit, still feel it. It's electricity. Of course, I don't understand. I'm still trying to get over these. I've got about a 5-hour ride home with my wife who's going to rag my you-know-what because I don't know how to use a phone, one of them fancy ones. I had a flip phone. I couldn't get it repaired. Want to tell them about Starbucks? All right. You can never think you're so important. Now, I have to admit, and when I was the Speaker of the House, I had a personal staff of 14 people who just about did everything for me. As a legislator, I had a legislative assistant who had been with me 25 of my 28 years. My legal secretary had been with me 28 years. My wife is with me 43 years. 45, I'm sorry. 46? That drive just got a hell of a lot longer. Fellas, that's a lesson I'm going to share with you. Don't make that mistake. Count on before. Well, we're driving, and I believe in safety. I'm prior law enforcement, military police, and also I try not to and I generally would pull over the road, but I'm driving, making good time because I'm cruising, because I know the two governors are here, and they're gonna fix my ticket if I get it. But anyway, so I do what any male would do. We generally don't stop and ask for directions. So I called my daughter, who is a technocrat. She knows more about technology than I could even spell it. And I said, Mary, we're approaching Alexandria. Mom and I would like to stop for a Starbucks and get one of those mocha sippies, that chocolate frosty, or whatever it's called, drink. They laugh at me when I walk in there. I said, you know what I want, one of them frozen things that's chocolate and got coffee in it. I said, find a Starbucks. I know there's got to be one in Alexandria. And I said, we're going on to Natchitoches. So if there's not one in Alexandria, let's go to Natchitoches. So there's got to be one near college campus. Well, I'll tell you the rest of the story. I'm driving. My wife, who is equally electronically challenged, we hear the beep. My daughter sends a text message with a map. That would be good if you have glasses and can read a map on a little bitty phone. It's further better if you understand what you're reading. So I asked my wife, well, what does it say? What does it say? She said, there's one on MacArthur. Oh, wait, first my daughter then calls. Did you get it? Yeah, but I don't know how to open it. So my daughter is explaining to my wife how to read the map. And she's reading it to me, and she said, there's one on MacArthur Drive. I said, okay, MacArthur Drive in Alexandria. I know where that is. Anybody, Rapides Parish? Well, I know you're out here. Okay, y'all know. I want to give you a little credit. So I said, okay, I know where that is. And then my wife says, oh, wait, there's another one by Northwestern. I said, okay, no problem. She tells my daughter, thanks. So my wife says, well, it looks like we got two, one on MacArthur Drive and one by Northwestern, quote unquote. That's right, okay. She's a blonde, but not real, but you beat it. No, I'm doing this because I'm giving you credit, giving her credit. Because she acted like one this time, let me tell you. So she gives me the instructions, and I tell her, I said, well, look, it's almost 5 o'clock. We'll get stuck in the traffic in Alexandria, going MacArthur Drive through Alexandria. Let's go on, Mr. President, to Northwestern. Yeah, there's a Starbucks by Northwestern, the Northwestern campus in Alexandria, not in Natchitoches, Louisiana. After we ride around Natchitoches looking for the Starbucks, because I'm not going to stop and ask for directions. So we didn't get coffee, and it's going to be a long ride home. I need coffee because she's not going to be talking to me too often. You see, I've learned where I've been. I know where I'm at, and I know where I'm going. And I challenge you to do the same. Enjoy this. Today is the first day of the rest of your life. Tomorrow will be the first day of the rest of your life. And every day will be the first day of the rest of your life. May you enjoy it to the fullest. May you challenge yourself to not just be minimal. May you challenge yourself to be better than you were the day before. And at the end of every day, before you close your eyes, you say your prayers, say your blessings, and recount everything you did that day and say, just pick one of those things and say, I could do that a little better tomorrow. And you know what? You'll get wherever you want to go because you know where you've been, you know where you are, and you know where you're going. Have a great convocation. Governor, come on up here. Governor, come on up here.
and appreciation for coming to speak. We have a plaque for you, but I'm thinking we may have should have gotten to your wife for putting up with you. I have a father that does similar things to my mother, so I know I'm always getting him out of trouble. So your daughter must really work hard to keep you out of trouble. Is that right? Yes.
It is a true family affair.
Thank you. On January the 1st of 2015, Northwestern's 18th president, Dr. James Henderson, took the helm. At this time in history, it is more vital than ever that a university has a strong leadership to navigate the difficult role of balancing a quality education with rich student experiences. Northwestern is very fortunate to have Dr. Henderson, an alumnus of the university, leading the way to help maintain the rich history of the university while also trending enough to attract the top students. Dr. Henderson's background includes a Master of Science in Administration from the University of Florida and a Doctor of Management from the University of Maryland, University College. He was the Chancellor of Bossier Parish Community College from 2009-2014, a Senior Vice President for the Louisiana Community and Technical College System from 2005 to 2009. He worked in the Louisiana Department of Labor from 2001 to 2005. Dr. Henderson also has 10 years experience in hotel management. He is a native of Shreveport, the proud father of 3 children, Reagan, Nicholas, and Alexander. He met his wife, Tanya, while here earning his undergraduate degree. I think it's safe to say that Dr. Henderson is back home, where his student experiences enriched his life, not only professionally, but personally. Dr. Henderson?
Thank you, Jan. And I got to follow General Downer. I don't know how you do that, but it was such a treat to get to see him. I haven't seen him since his days working for Kathleen in some rich days when the state had plenty of money. 29 billion, I think, at that time. Yeah. So he's a great patriot too, in addition to being a very entertaining speaker. But I want to thank the American Legion and the American Legion Auxiliary for putting on this program. This has been an incredible week for us at Northwestern to host all of you here. And it would not be possible without the work of you folks, and of course the sacrifice that you've made for our country continues in your service to these young folks. So thank you all for that. We appreciate it very much. I got to tell you, it's an honor for me to speak to you tonight. And I'm going to try to be briefer than the general. That's okay. See, I married a girl from Gaydon. And if you ever get a chance, fellas, I encourage you, you just have to learn to sleep with one eye open and you'll be okay. But I met her here at Northwestern, walking into a classroom. She walked past me and I said, my dad had told me I was not at Northwestern at the time. I was living in North Arkansas, trying to work my way through college, working about 120 hours a week, and then occasionally going to class, which was a little bit difficult. He said, boy, why don't you move to Natchitoches, finish your degree at Northwestern, marry a Cajun girl. I said, Dad, I ain't going to do any of that. But he was a Marine, so I did all of that. And it worked out okay. But I'm glad to be here, and I'm so proud of y'all because, you know, a lot of your friends are back at home tonight, right? And what are they doing? Sleeping. Oh, thank you very much. We'll talk about that. Application for the Suns. But they're sleeping, or they're going to the movies, or they're going to park, or they still do that. That's what we used to call it. But you guys didn't do that. You guys have separated yourself. You're leaders, right? You're distinct. You're not conformist. You don't conform to what the crowd does. And you should be proud of that. You need to continue to not be conformist. In fact, can you all work with me on this? I want you to take the non-conformist oath. Everybody raise your hand. Say, I promise to be different. I promise to be unique. I promise not to repeat things that other people say. Congratulations, you are all nonconformists. The irony is just dripping. I got that. Steve Martin did that in 1978, and it still works, by the way. But I want to talk to you a little bit about leadership, or really more specifically about leadership through service, because this is a very important time. Walter Lippmann defined leaders as the custodians of a nation's ideals, the beliefs it cherishes, of its permanent hopes, of the faith which makes a nation out of a mere aggregation of individuals. See, a lot of times we think about leadership as being about glory and about being in charge, but it's really about service. Service to your fellow man. The gender neutral man, by the way. But my father and the thousands of other courageous Americans that fought in World War II are widely recognized as the greatest generation. And they earned that honor through unselfish service to fight tyranny. See, my dad was born in Orange, Texas, but he grew up in Roanoke. Anybody been to Roanoke? Yeah, a couple, right? He played foot. You see that 1939 sign on the Jennings water tower? He played football at Jennings. He drove a Model T Ford every day from Roanoke to Jennings and played football. But in 1941, he hitchhiked to Louisiana Tech, and he played football for a guy named Joe I.A. 1941, 1942. He decided to take off in 1943, 1944, 1945, because he joined up with the 2nd Division Marine Corps at Tarawa. And he got to see exotic sites like Tarawa and Guadalcanal and Okinawa and Saipan. In fact, he was on Saipan, and with low tide, you could walk to Tinian. And Tinian is where the Enola Gay took off one fateful morning and ended the Pacific part of World War II. And then he came back and played football at Louisiana Tech in 1946 and 1947. I have no idea what it would have been like to be an 18-year-old incoming freshman to play football. And the juniors weren't 2 years older than you, they're 5 years older than you. And they're war-hardened veterans. I guarantee you that open field tackling was a different experience for those young fellas. But that guy was tough. And then he devoted his life to education. He was a coach and a teacher and a principal, and he worked his whole life to ensure that I could get a quality education at an institution like Northwestern and wouldn't have to go to Tech. Or Nichols. I'm sorry. In fact, you guys are seated. This is the oldest university in the entire University of Louisiana system. In fact, we've been here for 130 years, which is longer than our university that exists in Baton Rouge has been on its site. And we're very proud of that. In fact, you're sitting in Prather Coliseum, where if you come to a basketball game this next year, you'll see the nation's #1 scorer, you'll see the nation's #1 assist generator, and you'll see the nation's #1 scoring offense in basketball. So I encourage you to come back and bring an application, and we'll make sure that you get admitted to school. We'd love to have you here. But see, my own generation lived through a different kind of war. It's called a Cold War. We had this fear every night when we would go to bed about nuclear annihilation, because two nations had nuclear weapons pointed at each other, and we were a hair's breadth away at any given time from annihilation. A lot of you don't remember that. Most of you don't remember that. In fact, I first realized I was getting old when I spoke to a group of incoming freshmen one time. And I talked about how much the world has changed since the wall came down. And I got nothing but blank looks. And finally says, "What wall are you talking about?" Well, it was a very important thing for us in 1989 when that wall came down in Berlin. But it was different. In fact, you guys have technology that we never had. Most of y'all have something that looks like this. Right? This is a phone, General. You can call. And listen, I'm not even going to show him. Oh, I guess I could show him this. Right? See, this is a watch. It tells you what time it is. It's really. But you guys are so used to technology. I mean, you've even invented your own language. glad I didn't have to pay a fee to learn that. General, and Representative Brown will get this. We don't really charge fees. We assess fees that nobody collects, and we give you a tax return that nobody pays to an entity that doesn't pay taxes. So it's changed a lot since you were in the House, right? Save. But you guys have even invented your own language. Every time I ask my daughter a question on the text, when I text her a question, she responds with IDK. Wait, what does IDK mean? See, nobody knows, and I can't seem to figure it out. I think she might have made that up. Whew. And it just gets worse, I promise you. But I got to tell you something. See, my dad's generation was called the greatest generation, right? Because of what they overcame. Dad started smoking and working in the oil fields the same year when he was 14, 1937. He lived through the Great Depression. He fought the wars. He did everything he could to ensure that my generation didn't have to worry about those kinds of things. That's why they're called the greatest generation. They led to the great American century, the 20th century. But a lot of people are calling you the next great generation. And that's, you should take great pride in that. And one of the reasons that they're calling you that is because this next generation has a new service attitude. You guys do more for your communities than we ever thought about doing. Number one, you're more connected than ever before. You know, the general held up the books from 1963 and 1964. And in those times, in this gymnasium, several of you would not be allowed to be here, right? We just had the 50th anniversary class, the class of 1965 that graduated from Northwestern, on the floor here for our graduation ceremony. And they shared one thing in common. They all looked alike in terms of skin color, right? See, we're just a generation away from when separatism was legalized in this country. Segregation was legal. It was, a matter of fact, it was an institution. And you look around this room, you guys are every shape, every color. It's fantastic. My daughter played basketball at Loyola High School in Shreveport. They had 5 young women that were a year ahead of her. They were all from the inner city. They were all black. And though my daughter was raised in a family that embraced everybody, we loved everybody, we're talking most people. We live in our own communities. We end up being sheltered, right? So this was her first experience. And she made the team as a freshman. And these girls put their arms around her. They changed her name from Reagan to Reggie. And they played basketball together. And she loved them. And they picked on her, and she picked on them. And they won the state championship. And then the next night, they weren't ready for it to be over, because that teamwork and that collective nature that they had of being on the basketball team together and achieving something so significant, they weren't ready to let it go. And I remember going up to her room late that night, and they were all there, kind of just all piled up. And you couldn't tell whose arm belonged to which one. And it was white arms and black arms. And it was just an amazing view of unity. And it never would have happened just 40 years ago. So you guys are in a time where you can make the new America even greater than what we got to experience in the 20th century. But you get to do it because of the work that started even before 1776, when we declared our independence, right? Since the 1600s, we've been experiencing this miracle that has become the United States of America, where we are the freest country in the world. And there has never been another entity so powerful, yet so focused on spreading peace and spreading justice and doing just the things that we pledge allegiance to, that the general was so eloquent talking about. Your generation gets it. You know, I'm so proud of my university here. We had 5,300 students in the last year. They contributed over 31,000 hours of volunteer service to their community, helping their fellow man. This fall, I made an announcement. It was just a kind of a spur of the moment decision. I was talking to the superintendent of schools in Natchitoches Parish, and he was complaining about literacy rates. I said, you know what, I've got a bunch of students and a bunch of faculty. What if we put volunteers in your elementary schools to work after school and teaching people how to read? He said, that's a great idea. He announced it to the school board that night. And I said, oh my goodness, I've got to really deliver this. And so I put out an email to our friends. Within an hour, we had 150 volunteers to work in schools 3 hours a week next year. You think that's going to move the needle? It's going to move the needle for an impoverished population that has never had anybody express that kind of interest in. It's going to change what we do. And it's because of the work of this new great generation. One of the great things that you learn about service is how to lead with populations that are different than you. And I can't tell you how important that is as we live in a world that's ever more global. It faces ever more challenges, whether they be differences of religion, differences of race, differences of creed. It's an amazing circumstance that we live in, and you are the generation that can change it because you understand those values and you understand those benefits. I talked to the guys from Boise State Sunday afternoon, and I referenced Ohio State winning the football championship. And you guys remember what they had on their wristbands? Evidently, it wasn't that compelling a speech then either, was it? It said E plus R equals O, right? The event plus response equals outcome. And you remember what Ohio State did, right? They lost their starting quarterback, and then they lost their second string quarterback, and they had their third string quarterback. And they lost the first game of the year to a team that was woeful, that should have beaten nobody. But they persevered. They realized that this is an event. Our response is going to determine what happens. And so they redoubled their efforts. They came together as a team. They won every game that was left on their schedule. And then they beat two teams that were highly favored over them. In fact, they trailed Alabama by 15 points in the national semifinal game, right? That was the event. Their response was they redoubled their effort. They came together as a team, and now they're the reigning national champion. Absolutely incredible. The event in 1941 on December 7th was Pearl Harbor. Our response was a nation that came together, and not just the men that served, but the women who served, the women who took their places in employment in factories, and we turned an entire nation into a war machine that battled tyranny like we've never seen. See, that was the event, and our response led to the outcome that we enjoy today. Now, your response to some much less violent, but still devastating and debilitating events and circumstances facing our nation, I'm talking about poverty, crime, homelessness, hunger, prejudice, illness, illiteracy, many other things. Your response to that can change the future for a nation. The event plus the response equals the outcome. And that's where you are today. You already have distinguished yourselves as leaders. But you need to have something to build that leadership around. You got to have some core values. You've got to have principle. Has anyone ever had a glass of milk? Yeah, come on, it's not a trick question, right? You have. If you look on the jug of milk, it says it's pasteurized, right? You know, and it has nothing to do with the fact that cows live in pastures. It's nothing to do with that. It's named for a guy named Louis Pasteur, right? Who invented the process that makes milk safe for you to drink. But he was also a bit of a philosopher. And this is important. One of his great philosophical statements, he said, "Blessed is he who carries within himself a God or an ideal of art, an ideal of science, an ideal of the gospel virtues. Therein lie the springs of great thought and great actions. They all reflect light from the infinite." So you've got to understand what that ideal is that you carry within yourself. Some of our great leaders have made that the core of their leadership philosophy. One of the nation's greatest generals, almost in the league with General Downer, was a guy named General MacArthur. And he gave a speech to the Corps cadets at West Point. And he talked about his set of ideals and the virtues that he carried with him that shaped his leadership. And he used words like duty, honor, and country. He said, those three hallowed words reverently dictate what you ought to be, what you can be, and what you will be. They are your rallying points to build courage when courage seems to fail, to regain faith when there seems to be little cause for faith, and to create hope when hope becomes forlorn. See, throughout our history, generations of leaders have responded to the events of the day in a manner that preserved and advanced the most resilient democracy and force for good the world has ever known. And of course, I'm talking about the United States of America. And that's why I'm so pleased and honored to see you here this week and speak to you tonight. You are our future because of programs like Girls and Boys State, and because of your investment in your own leadership development. Our future is bright. If enough emerging leaders like you respond effectively to the challenging events that face us and face our nation, you can indeed affect tremendous outcomes and become the next great generation. I have no doubt that you will. So folks, I'm just delighted to have you on our campus at Northwestern. I wish you all the best. God bless you, and Orcum Demons.
Ladies and gentlemen, can we get one more round of applause for our guest speakers? Now, our guest speakers inspirationally have us look to the future. But I ask you right now, if you would, just look a few hours back. Guys, didn't we have a great time at the dance last night? Is that all? I thought we had a better time. Did we have a good time at the dance last night, guys?
Ladies, did we have a good time at the dance last night?
Well, it is so good. Boys, isn't it good to see the girls one more time? And I'm really glad to see you here today. Yes, it's nice. I understand. I'm glad it's you talking with me. I guess Bailey couldn't come up here. She gets a little distracted when staff member McCullough is around. Staff member McCullough, why don't you
Well, boys, since y'all dress so nicely for us, and ladies, don't we appreciate that? Don't we appreciate that? And, we would have dressed up too, but, we were busy actually running a program.
You make a very valid point. I do have to bring up that we've been talking about technology a little bit. And, you can set alarms on your phone. I'm guessing Girls State is unaware of that. Maybe that's why y'all are always so late moving to. Maybe we can teach you and General Downer how to use your phone a little bit.
I would like to point out that for our past two events, ladies, were they here before us last night? I didn't think so. And who were we waiting on tonight?
Well, of course you are, ladies. We are gentlemen to our very core. Ladies first every time, isn't that right, guys? But, gentlemen, in all seriousness, Boys State and Girls State picks on each other, but we do love each other, don't we? We do. And,
Girls, we do love Boys State, don't we? Yes, we do. We love our Boys Staters. All right, and I think to show just how much we love y'all, we have prepared something a little special for you guys.
When
How sweet it is to be loved by you. I needed shelter from someone's arms, and there you were. I needed someone to never let me down, and there you were. Sweet love and devotion, deeply touching my emotions. I just want to stop and make you, baby. I just want to stop and make you, baby.
Break it down, girls.
How sweet it is to be loved by you. How sweet it is to be loved by you. It's like honey to the bee, baby. How sweet it is to be loved by you.
Ladies, I know that I speak for all of Boys State when I say we are deeply touched. Isn't that right, Boys State? But like I said, we are gentlemen down to our very core, and we wouldn't just leave you hanging. Gentlemen, please stand up. Hey, fellas, why don't y'all serve me up a hot plate of yams?
My sunshine, my only sunshine, you make me happy when skies are good, when skies are good. I love you, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. The other night, dear, as I was sleeping, I dreamt I held you in my arms. Oh dear, I was mistaken, so I hung my head and I cried. The sunshine, you make me happy when skies are gray, when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. Please don't take my sunshine away.
All right, so I'd like our 2015 Girls State officials to please join us by the stage so we can introduce you. All right, our Commissioner of Insurance, Maggie Madkin. Our Commissioner of Agriculture, Kendra Watterson. Our State Treasurer, Yu Chin. Attorney General, Samantha Hilbum. Secretary of State, Elizabeth Hines. Our Lieutenant Governor, Michael Graves. And our Governor, Emma Marcus.
And I would like to now introduce our 2015 Louisiana Boys State elected officials. Will our Commissioner of Insurance, Mr. Logan Thompson, please join us on the stage? Commissioner of Agriculture, Mr. Cameron Armand. Our Treasurer, Mr. Clifton Hacker. Our Attorney General, Mr. Anand Henderson. Our Secretary of State, Mr. Adam Ortego. Our Lieutenant Governor, Mr. Dwayne Bell. And our Governor, Mr. Keith Gillett. Boys State and Girls State, would you all please join me in one giant round of applause for our 2015 elected officials. Thank you very much. And just like the general, we would like for everyone to stay connected. So if our elected officials will please exit the stage and head to the lobby, we're going to commemorate this with some group photos. So if y'all will please. And at this time, I would like to call upon our cheer master, Senior Counselor Reese. Senior Counselor Reese, would you have our boys do some of our cheers, please?
I said from coast to coast. I said from coast to coast. Our state has the most. I said from coast to coast. Our state has the most.
All right, girls, let's show what we got.
You can ride on the red wagon. Let's keep rocking the wheel of the dragon.
Are you done? Are you done? Right. So I have a question. Why is it that your boys only can say cheers if they repeat what they've just been told?
Well, see, this week we all been cheering and chanting and kissing things out of some boxes. We've been, you know, building a government, running for office, working on some projects, being on time for things.
So not only do we repeat after, you know, chants, we repeat the same insult over and over and over again.
Well, I just feel like if I say it enough, maybe y'all gonna start being on time for things. If you'd like, and y'all want it to stop going back and forth, Mr. McCullough can grab y'all and just take y'all right off stage. You know, can't you, Nick? Carry him off stage. Stand up, Nick. Stand up, Nick.
Okay, ladies, they have won. So, Girls State, stand up.
We're right here.
We have at least 600 to your one. Not doing too much.
You know, I believe that it was a very intelligent woman, Miss Margaret Mead, who said that those who change, that it's a small group of dedicated people that change the world. In fact, it is only those who have ever done so. So I will take my small group of boys and I will meet up to your group of girls, and we will go down to the legislature with Mr. Brown, and we will do what we do best. We will change the world, won't we, guys?
But only if someone told you the words to use first, right? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. All right. Now, girls, like we said, we do love Boys State. Yes. Boys State loves us because we can see them peeping through the dorm blinds, can't we, girls?
Peeping through the dorm line into the night, we see Boys State flickering light. Girls take all the silencing. Boys State, we would like to go here. We would like to roll the west with you. Boys State, you're the best of my desire. We'd like for us to light your fire.
All right, girls. Boys State, as much fun as this has been, girls, it's time to say goodnight to Boys State. Bye, boys. Bye, boys.
Gentlemen, please say goodnight to Girls State. All right, gentlemen, please sit down. And we'll start filing out. We'll start with the chapel eye. Chapel eye, please stand.